Right, my name is Billy MacLeod from Veterans in Action, and we also run a project called Veterans Expeditions Overland, where we take veterans out on overland expeditions. This weekend we're out with Overland Bound, and to my left here is Dave Spinks, and to my right Nick Hammond. So Dave, could you tell us a bit about what Overland Bound is all about?
It was a group that was initially started in America to help people to go out and give people the what they needed to go out and do trips, going camping, going in the vehicles. Basically, the bottom line was tell people you don't need to have all the fancy cars, just go out and enjoy the trips and go out and do the trips and meet other people that want to join in.
And was this mainly in the US?
Initially it started in the US, but then it spread worldwide, and I think now worldwide they've got about 25,000 members, I think.
And the members, like, so geographically in the UK, how are we in the UK with Overland Bound?
I think we're sitting, UK is what's called the West Europe region, because Europe's broken up into a whole load of different regions. UK is UK and Ireland, which is classed as the West Europe region, and I think total members is about certainly over 1,000.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say about active members? Are they all active?
No. A lot of the members are people who don't really get too involved, but there is a good core group of members in Scotland, in the north of England, and now obviously this trip we're doing now down in Salisbury Plain, where we're getting more and more of the members involved in doing all the trips.
Now, you being based in Aberdeen, it's obviously difficult because we're here down on the Salisbury Plains, which is right down the south of England for those that don't know. So for you to come and run an event down from Aberdeen, to come down and run an event in Salisbury Plains is very, very difficult, I thought, which is why Nick's involved. So Nick's running this event this weekend. Can you tell us, Nick, about what this event's entailed, the preparation you did for it, the membership that came along, and how you think the weekend's gone?
Well, firstly, I think the weekend's gone brilliantly. One of the great things about the Overland community is they're willing and the spirit and the way they get together. For example, over our shoulder are a couple of guys that have only met this weekend, helping each other repair an alternator on a car. You know, people have mixed in cooking together, and just general camp life is about, you know, people, you know, getting together. And there's probably about a third to a half of the people here have never been overlanding before in terms of a group and understood that. So, you know, it's been a great learning experience.
I suppose from what I've learned is that obviously everybody's at different levels where they are in the overland, and some at the beginning level, like you say, this for some of us this is the first trip.
Absolutely.
To Dave, who's travelled over to Russia and all these kind of places, Mongolia, down to Morocco and all that. So you've had a long-term trips, like, you know, which everybody kind of wants to do, but in reality life doesn't allow us to do these things, doesn't it? So you're incredibly lucky that you can do that. Ourselves at Veterans in Action, we just did a 6-week one last year, and we're off about to do another 16-day expedition. Where I think this works for us as a charity is that we deal with a lot of guys who have suffered the trauma from war and their families, and there isn't a lot of help out for them out there. Well, there is a lot of help, but it has to be the right help for the right individual. And sometimes it's all right putting somebody into therapy or to go and do any project, but if it doesn't float their boat, it doesn't float their boat. What I think the Overland community can do is embrace these kind of guys in who may have done an expedition with us or may want an introduction to overlanding and don't really know what it entails. And I think what I've learned from this weekend is the camaraderie of the group, which kind of mirrors what the military's like in a way. And I wasn't sure it would just be all civilians and no veterans, and then obviously yourself served in the Navy and Nick here served in the Army. And I think that with a mixture of civilians is really what we're all after. And many times the veterans we deal with are kind of isolated, and the only thing they can attach themselves to is other veterans and things reliving the past in a way. And I think what this could do is allow veterans to get involved in an organisation that's similar to what they used to do in the past, but with subtle changes where it's like more laid back, it's not tactical. As you can see, we've got a big fire going on behind us, which we'll all sit around later on with a few beers. And that's women, men, children, all with the same aim. They're out here enjoying themselves camping. You know, what would you say to that? Is that something that you think veterans would fit into, and how they could adapt to it?
I think you make a very fair point, Billy. I mean, it's one of the things that attracted me to this kind of community myself. I mean, I've been an overlander, car camper, whatever you want to call it, for decades, and I've been a Land Rover owner for decades as well. But the overlanding community as the community has been fairly recent to me, and the difference in the way they are as a group as opposed to the others is very military. It's a very military way of dealing with things. Like, everyone mucks in, deals with it, solves the problem. Nobody flaps. You know, I mean, part of being on a trip is things will go wrong, problems become adventures. I mean, we all know, as being in the military, the first casualty of battle is the plan, and kind of we've had that this weekend. We've had burst tyres, we've had alternators break, we've had vehicles damaged. You know, we had a window crack on a windscreen, and everyone just sort of takes it, you know, does their bit. Convoys split up and all sorts. Everyone takes it in their stride and deals with it. And as I said earlier, I alluded to earlier, two guys that have met this weekend helping each other repair a car, up to their elbows in grease, whatever, just mucking in, handing each other spanners and whatever. If someone's on the way to doing the washing up, you got any washing up needs doing, they'll take it with them. You know,
and I think that's about the community
and that's
involvement.
That's very military.
That's the important word, is the community.
Yeah, I think
there's a lot of similarities, definitely, with the
that's
way.
What I see. I think it mirrors a lot what we do in the military, but as we live together and we're very close knit because we do live together. And if something needs done, we just go on and do it. And that's what I've found with this weekend, that everybody's just mucking in and getting on with it. And those that are new, there's plenty of people that are new to this kind of environment. And they're learning, and I think they've fitted in really well too. I don't think MD's felt really out of it. I know if I could put a in fact, we've got one just behind the camera there who's been out on expeditions with us, and I asked him the question earlier on when I was sat with you, Dave, that if now you've met the community here, is this something you would get involved in and feel comfortable with it? And the answer was a yes. Was that a yes, Mo? Yeah, that was a yes, and I think that's the main thing. And I think hat off to you two guys here for setting this up that allows people to come in and do that, because not even just the military, just people in general can feel isolated. By bringing them into a community, people can be part and they can start to grow within that community. So before long, they're leading a weekend, and that's, I'm sure, what you want in Overland Bound for West Europe. I think you want more activities to go on like this. I think this is something that we'll hopefully get involved with more with the guys that we help, and maybe bring 4 or 5 vehicles out with you, and get the guys mixing with other people, and maybe mix the cars around. So people are getting to meet people they wouldn't normally meet, if you know what I mean. And I think that for me is what this is all about.
I think when I left the army, which was a long time ago, I struggled with understanding civilians and the way civilians work, and I think again you made a very good point in that this is a stepping stone. This can help some of your members as a stepping stone back into the civilian world.
It bridges.
Obviously, I mean, I joined the army.
Yeah, I think so.
I joined the army at 16, and there's a lot of guys watching this probably did very similar.
Myself included.
They've never seen the civilian world. Don't understand how it works. Don't understand people, stab you in the back, which you never get in the army. And so, yeah, perfect.
Well, I think this is something I hope continues. I never knew about Overland Bound till we met at Adventure Overland show.
Yeah,
I'd seen your stuff on YouTube and a little bit of the Polaris Overland that you run, but I hadn't really embraced it as well. Probably as an ex-soldier looking in, I thought, civvy this and civvy that, because I didn't understand what your community was about. But coming here, and there's other veterans here. In fact, we had one of your own friends who was involved the other day. He just came in one of your vehicles because he cycled here, didn't he? For God's sake, he cycled here.
Cycled about 70 miles.
He cycled to just be involved, and then he cycled back to where he lives. And he came in one of your vehicles, and he had a thoroughly good day out. I think we've been really helped with the weather, because it's okay introducing people when it's nice. It's all good. If you introduce them in a different climate or rain, it might not be the same initial kind of experience, this has really helped. So even if it does rain on the second experience, they've had a great experience before, and I think that would really help anyway, because they've already had a great experience. And the experience for me, if it rains, is you just deal with it again, don't you?
You do, and I
You
think,
then learn about your kit, don't you?
but this is where veterans that come and involved can probably help the civilians, is that because of the environments they've been in at the times, they understand the discipline of, for example, you know, not cooking inside a tent, you know, things like this. You put your sleeping bag away, you do this, you put your laces of your boots inside, and blah 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 blah. All the small things that mean nothing on a lovely sunny day like we've got.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're camping at -2 in, you know, December or January, can actually affect, you know, lower your morale, create a survival situation. So the, you know, veterans can add to this as well.
We had a Scotland trip earlier on in the year, and the weather was awful. It was cold and horrible.
It is Scotland after all.
And I have one single little awning that has 2 sides on it, and we had about 12 people all cuddled in there, all in, having a beer. We had a little frontier stove there to try and get a little bit of warmth out of it, and we still had an absolute ball.
Well, that's it. Sometimes I think the adverse conditions, the actually fun starts, like, you know, because in good weather we can all retreat and sit in our own little harbour area type thing, and like, but when adverse conditions take over, you're all in the same boat, you're all miserable. But out of that misery, you get a good laugh, the humour comes in, doesn't it? And I think that's something we learn very early in the services, isn't it? Like when you're cold, because we've all been there, cold and miserable, you just laugh at it, don't you? Like, you know, because if you don't laugh at it, you're just going to get cheesed off, aren't you? Like, you know, and we've all been there with that one, haven't we? You know, and so I want to thank you guys for this weekend. Like, for us, it's been a really, really good experience. It's unusual for me as an individual to stand back and watch, because I'm usually kind of running the event, so that was an experience for me. Being the last vehicle in a convoy of 12 vehicles was a real experience for me. Now I know that when you are the last vehicle, the kind of moans you have sometimes about why they're stopping up front, but I've been at the front, I know why you're stopping and all that. So it was a good experience to be at the back. That'll actually make our expeditions better. We are a convoy of vehicles that we can understand that communication is the most important thing. Yeah, you've been running up and doing convoys all weekend, didn't you? Like, you know,
I've lost nearly a stone. If only.
Like, I used to see him before this, like, you know, he was huge. You know, he's nearly the size of me.
Is that stress?
So anyway, thank you very much for listening. I think if you want to get a bit of adventure, Overland Bound, I think you couldn't go far wrong. Look, you don't need fancy vehicles. That's what people get confused with Overland, and they all think you have all the Gucci gear. It's great to have that, but that's something to aspire to. You don't need to start with that. You can buy a vehicle for next to nothing, and maybe even if you get involved with Overland Bound and you don't have a vehicle, somebody may have a spare seat. Go and get involved. Just ask the question, because if you don't ask the question, you can't get involved. If you want to do that through me, you can also do that through me. But these two guys are both on Facebook. They'll answer your questions. They're very approachable. They've helped me a great deal. In fact, you've come up with gear for us and give us gear this weekend. Dave's experiences, for anybody that wants to do overlanding, talk to this guy here, because he's been there and done it. And look, broken it like he's done this weekend. But that's all part of overlanding. It's how you overcome the problems, which is the biggest thing. Because if it all goes nicey, it's not the real experience. Expeditions or overlanding is all about when the shit hit the fan and things go wrong, how do you deal with it? That's what I believe overlanding is about. As you said about the squaddies, like the military, like it only kind of survives the first contact light, and then a plan's just out the window. So when we drive out the door of our centre and go on an expedition, guess what's going to go wrong? That's the expedition. That's what's meant to happen. How you deal with it is the main thing.
Absolutely.
You know? So thank you very much, Nick.
I was just going to say one thing. It's not just about the guys. We love families. We love four-legged friends as well. You know, and one of the things we've encouraged with the new overlanders, we'll call it this weekend, for example, is to make sure spouses and other people have a go in the car as well.
Absolutely.
You know, because in an expedition situation, it may be your second driver, we'll call them, needs to drive because it's been a medical emergency. Maybe you've just got diarrhea for a couple of days. Everyone needs to drive a vehicle off road. So, you know, kind of, so wives, girlfriends, you know, kids, all welcome.
I think success for this weekend, for us, huge success of joining these guys, because it's always a bit, do you step in or don't you step in, but they made it that welcoming for us to come. It was hard to say no, and I'm glad we did come, because it's been diamond stuff, like, you know. Thank you very much.
Yeah, very well.
A pleasure.
Thank you for coming.